With any practice that we do, it's always important to focus on working with kindness. As we're beginning the practice, we're going to do some looking at resistance, the practice of Scott's of thank you for arising. And the three phrases are thank you for arising, I love you, you're welcome to stay. Generally, most people don't really mean that in any kind of a genuine way when we're first starting to look at something. And so it's really a practice of noticing resistance, noticing our reaction to something, and seeing if we can allow that to be present and something that we're paying attention to. As always, do the practice in a way that makes sense for you and that feels okay for you. We're going to do some relaxing and go into the phrases and come back out, and not very strong approach with it. There's no requirement at all or expectation that we're going to mean it when we say thank you for arising. If there's something coming up that's unwelcome, then of course we're not going to want that to be there. Something that's painful or anything like that. So it's also a practice, in addition to working with resistance and to noticing how that's coming up, it's very much a practice of self-compassion and kindness. Noticing if we can bring that to the practice as well. So even those few phrases, having heard them, might have brought up some resistance in the body or resistance in the mind. And if that's the case, that's very understandable and common. And if thank you for arising seems like too strong of a phrase, you might change the words to something like, I'm noticing this has arisen. I'm noticing this energy is here, or these thoughts are here. It's really a mindfulness practice as well. Before we start looking at the phrases, let's tune into the body. Notice what your body feels like right at this moment in time. Notice the environment all around your body. And notice the internal environment, the space that your body is occupying. Notice that in that space your body is occupying, there's breathing happening. There is sense perception. There's thought. There's energy. There's all of these components of being a human being, experiencing our world as a person. As we're tuning into that, notice if it feels like whatever it is that's in our experience right now is okay with us. Just a light touch of a notice. If what's happening in my body is okay, and that could include energy. Let's do a scan of the body and notice what it is that's happening in our bodies. Starting with the top of the head and the forehead, the eyebrows. The thoughts behind the forehead. Not giving anything too much attention, really just a light touch of mindfulness as we go down through the body. Notice your eyes and the corners of your eyes, that your eyes are closed if they are. If not, have your gaze soft and kind of internally focused. Notice if you can feel the breath moving in the mouth or the nose. Notice in your mouth there's that sensation of wetness in your tongue. See if you can allow that to be still. Maybe you can feel the breath flowing through the back of the mouth as it comes through the nose and down through the back of the throat. It's still a little bit cool as you breathe in. And notice if there's space between the upper jaw and the lower jaw so that your mouth can relax, your hinges of your jaw can be soft. Allow your whole face to be relaxed. Notice your ears, there's sounds coming through the ears. There's the sides of your neck and the back of your neck down into your shoulders. Your throat and the front of the neck. And as you turn your attention towards the experience of paying attention in the head and the face, the neck and the shoulders, notice if there's a feeling of this is okay, whatever it is that's being noticed in this area of the body. If you're okay with that right at the moment. Very often there's a feeling of not okay, or I really would prefer something different to be happening. Maybe there's a sense of impatience with a common habitual contraction in the back of the neck or the shoulders, perhaps. Or there might be a feeling of I really wish my mind would settle so that I didn't have so much thought going on. Some other familiar energy or sensation in the head. Noticing that that's our experience right in this moment. And that we would have a preference for pleasant experience and a preference that unpleasant experience doesn't stick around. That's natural. And notice that even below that, if there could be a sense of it's okay to experience my life as it is right now. Preferences and all. And then bringing the attention down a little bit further. Bringing your attention down into your neck and chest. Noticing the large muscles that cover the front of the chest and the sides of the rib cage. Coming around the back, all those large muscles of the back. Relax your neck and your shoulders. Down through your arms and hands. Fingers and fingertips. And notice if you can relax that sense of activity through the hands and arms. We use our hands a lot during the day. Notice if there's any energy or sensation in the arms or hands. And then coming back to the face, relaxing the whole front of the face, the jaw, the mouth, down through the neck. Noticing again those large muscles that cover the rib cage. Notice the bones and the feeling of the ribs opening and closing as you're breathing. Taking a deep in-breath, we can notice perhaps the breath is moving a little bit into the lower ribs along the sides. Often when we tune into this area and to the breathing, we'll notice that there's some kind of holding of breath or unevenness perhaps, or jerkiness in the breathing. So whatever it is that we're noticing in the chest area and in the breathing, notice if that can be okay, including our response to what we find. We all have a preference, of course, for a long, deep, relaxing breath that's smooth and even. And that's natural. And then allowing yourself to just deeply be aware of the experience of paying attention to the chest and the breathing. And of your response or your reaction to that. Notice if there's a feeling that this is acceptable. And if not, notice how that shows up. In part, we're noticing what doesn't feel acceptable and how we often have these habitual ways of turning away from our experience, and noticing that we have all kinds of standards that we feel we should be meeting at times, even about something like the breath. And then as you're exhaling and inhaling, notice now what's happening in your stomach area. Notice how the inhale will bring some expansion. The muscle fibers lengthen, the diaphragm comes down, the lungs fill with air. And noticing the experience in the mind as well as you're paying attention to the breathing. If there's any kind of worry going on, the mind will often be absorbed in that. Another natural process that happens to all of us. And if that's going on right in this moment, see if you can bring your attention back to the breath. Take a few deep breaths, breathing in deeply and breathing out deeply. And notice if there can be an appreciation or an acceptance of your experience right now as it's happening. We could use those phrases, thank you for arising, or I notice that you're here. I love you. You're welcome to stay. Or we could simply be bringing our attention and noticing if what we're finding is okay for us to be experiencing right now. Noticing if there's any energy or sensation in the heart area, the heart center, in the stomach, the navel center, the lower belly. What's going on energetically in our body right now, and particularly in the torso. A lot of times with sensation, we have a sense that this is very familiar. A lot of energies we've had for a long time. And some sensations we don't particularly want to feel, and others are more welcome. And then including your lower pelvic area, the hips, the thighs, the lower legs, and the feet. Bring your attention to that area of your body. The whole sense of locomotion and action in the world comes through our feet and legs. Notice your experience there. And then with this awareness of your whole body from head to toes, of your breathing and your energy, of the thoughts in the mind, notice that you're observing all of this and that it's all arising to be seen in a space in and around your body, in the space of thought, of witnessing as well. And that at times when we bring our attention to this, that we'll have a relaxed body and a calm mind. At other times there's lots going on perhaps, and we'll have a bit more activity in the mind. Maybe there's contraction or tension in the body. And that we know from experience that even with persistent patterns of thought and of energy in the body, that those aren't permanent to us. We'll have moments, no matter how stressed we are, we'll always have moments during the day when we could tune into the breath, or suddenly we hear bird song, or we walk outside and notice a breeze or a scent of flowers or something. Our experience shifts and changes. And then either keeping your attention on this whole experience of how it is that life shows up right in this moment. Or if your attention is drawn to a certain energy in your body or a certain thought pattern in the mind, focus your attention there. And thank you for arising, saying those words mentally to yourself, to that energy or to that experience. Thank you for arising. And notice your experience with that. Notice the response that comes up. And it certainly doesn't have to be acceptance. And to whatever it is that's arising, sending a sense of, I love you, and you're welcome to stay. Keeping this awareness in the whole of your body, head to toes. And in particular, if there's a sensation or an energy or a thought pattern, paying attention to how that it is that's coming up, noticing that whole experience. Notice if there can be a sense of basic acceptance of the human experience that you're having right now in this moment. Whether it's wonderful or contracted or something you want or something you don't want. And we'll always have a response to our experiences. That's the way it works. And noticing if this whole thing is okay with you right now. If we can allow that sense of kindness, of openness, of compassion for ourselves, for our human experience, notice your breathing again. Notice your whole body and the energy in your body, but also the physical sense perceptions, the muscles themselves, if you can relax your forehead, your jaw, back of your neck and shoulders. Let that relaxation move down your whole body. Let your stomach be relaxed, your legs, your arms. And notice your experience in this moment. And if you can allow that experience to be here with kindness. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Re-engage with the world physically and visually again. Take a few deep breaths. And see as you move through the day if this is something that you could touch back in with sometimes. Noticing your human experience and if there's a sense that that's okay.